Hey, so I went to bed early last night. How'd the Vegas game go? Well, Vegas was up 4-0 going into the third period, and Mitch Marner had a hat trick. Oh, so it was a blowout, right? No. Carolina ended up tying it in the third and taking it to double overtime. Oh, so Carolina came back again? Vegas won. Man, this is going to be a long series, isn't it? You think so? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the PesterLinePod. Alexander here. Today we're going to be recording our first reaction video, our first solo video, and the first time Carolina lost on the road in these playoffs. So a lot of firsts going on this evening, or this morning, whenever the hell you're watching this. Let's get right into it. Vegas wins 5-4 in double overtime. This was a wild one. This is probably one of the craziest games of the playoffs so far, and it's much needed because I was a little worried that these finals were going to be a little boring. About second period of game 2, I thought, man, this sucks. But tonight, I was at the grocery store getting some things for dinner, and on the way home, right before I got on the ride home, I decided to look at the score. It was 4-0 Vegas in the second period. And the whole ride home, I'm just thinking about this video and what I'm going to say. It's over. Vegas might as well book the parade route now. There's no chance that Carolina has of coming back in the series. You know, the usual suspects. And then after I get dinner ready, put it in the oven, I decided to throw on the game just to kind of watch a few of the highlights, maybe see what the final score is, because obviously that'd be important for this video. And it's 4-4. And I think, wow, I'm an idiot. I don't know anything about this. Why am I talking about it on the internet? And so obviously it goes into double overtime. Vegas gets away with one, some might say. Series is now 2-1. Vegas holds on the home ice advantage. Yeah, the narrative shift quite a bit from period to period, which is always exciting. And the first thing that jumps out is obviously Vegas has blown a multi-goal lead in the third period twice now. Carolina has scored 7 goals in the past 2-3 periods, which is just wow. Just wow, that's a lot of goals. That's too many goals. That's Tortorella's saying right now. He's in the locker room. Everybody's celebrating. I just know he's fuming. He's gotta be pissed off because that is an epic collapse. And so you start to wonder, what are the problems Vegas is facing in the third period? Is it a case of them already celebrating a win, thinking, hey, this is in the bag, thinking ahead the next game? Or is this showing Carolina's resilience, saying all we need is 20 minutes and we can flip this game on its head? I think game 2 was a lot more of Carolina's resilience. Game 3, it's a bit harder to say because Vegas blew 2 multi-goalies in the third period, but on the other side, Carolina fell behind by multiple goals, which is not a winning formula. It is, I think, definitely the pressure is going to be on Carolina. Vegas's game plan is working for the most part, and that shows in the series score, shows in the box score for the most part, and so I think Carolina has a lot more work to do, but they're running out of time to do it. The next thing I wanted to talk about was Mitch Marner. I think this game was incredibly important to him and his legacy, because had Carolina pulled this off and won this game, and Mitch Marner has a hat trick and an assist, I think the narrative would obviously have been, you can take the kid out of Toronto, but you can't take Toronto out of the kid. And that was just on everybody's mind. You know they were thinking it. And so to see Vegas come out of this with a win, and for Mitch Marner to just continue to look like apparently the stud he is cool for him. I'm polling for Carolina, but I like Mitch Marner. I don't have an opinion one way or the other about what happened in Toronto. I wish he wasn't on Vegas, but it's cool to see that he's doing so well in Vegas. And it's cool to see him doing so well in these playoffs. You know, it's cool to see him perform in really like clutch games, unlike certain players on certain Colorado teams. And so, multi-goal performance, big game at home, biggest game of his career so far. Awesome for him. I think the other elephant in the room is the goaltending for tonight. I would hate to be a coach of either one of these teams, more so Carolina. You could chalk this up to just goaltenders have bad games for Carter Hart. He came into the Stanley Cup Final looking like the guy. He shut the door on arguably the best offense in the league. And so he was riding high coming into this. Games 1 and 2 didn't necessarily make him look amazing, but he got the job done in game 1. But man, now he's let 2 third period leads dwindle before him. And so there could be rumblings that Carolina has his number. Carolina knows what to do to break him, which I would argue if they could do that in the first or second period. The fact that it's only happening in the third period, I think, is in Carter Hart's favor. Now, the other side with Carolina, they are in a bit more trouble because your number one guy got pulled tonight. And I credit the coaches for having the balls to do it, but now they are in a very sticky situation because it is never good when you have to pull your main goaltender and your backup kind of looks like a stud. So the decision is, who do we go with in game 4? Because I think Bussy earned his spot, at least give him a shot. But that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina goes back to Anderson because he's your guy. You can't just abandon him at the first sign of trouble, or you can. I don't know. This is a hard decision. Oh man, being a coach must suck. I just don't know. I do not envy the Carolina boys right now because that's a tough decision to make. Personally, I think this might be controversial. I would go back to Anderson. I think Bussy played great, but I think you just can't abandon your dude right now. And I think going back to him shows a hell of a lot of confidence, and I think it sends a message to the team that, like, we're ride or die. So I would go back for Vegas, obviously Carter Hart. Carolina, we're going back to Anderson. And so I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. You know what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your mom.